Welcome to the Mindset Architect podcast, where it's all about creating the life you want, the business you want, and making a real difference. Join us in unlocking the code to true success. And now your host, Tony Caliendo, Master Coach with reTHINK Coaching.
Welcome to the Mindset Architect podcast, episode number 75. I'm Tony Caliendo, Master Coach here at reTHINK Coaching. And as always, I want to take a minute and just thank you for being here today and sharing your time with me. Time truly is our most valuable asset. And the fact that you're willing to share your time with me truly does mean a great deal. So thank you so much for being here. Today's topic I'm going to talk about is one of those things that if they had offered or offer a master's degree or doctorate degree in this topic, I would probably have both and maybe even a double master. And it's the conversation and topic of procrastination. You know, as an entrepreneur myself, I've experienced this. And I think as entrepreneurs, we all have moments where we experience it. Some of us more often than we would like, and certainly more than we would like to ever admit, because procrastination is such a thief of our time and our talent and what we have to give back to the world. And I think it's really important for us to take a minute today and just talk about a couple elements that may be causing procrastination, and you may not even be aware that it's happening. So I know for myself, I've set a goal and I've set deadlines with it, of course. You know, hey, by this time I'll be through this module, by this time I'll be through that module. And there are times, not often, but it does happen, where I will get to the end of that deadline. I hadn't done really anything towards achieving that goal. In fact, I did everything humanly possible to avoid doing the activity to get to that goal. And what I find is that until we can figure out what's causing the procrastination or the delaying in your world, it's going to continue to appear, make its appearance, and again, prevent you from shining your true light, getting to the point to where you're achieving the goals that you wanted to achieve and showing up in the world that you wanted to show up. And I think the number one thing for me about when I procrastinate the most is when I have this crazy thought about fear of failure. And I think it's funny. I mean, yes, I failed, but ultimately, most of us can say we've failed, but we've survived, right? We're still here. We're still breathing. We're still doing things. Yet this really unrealistic fear of failure can be one of the biggest thieves of your time and really tap into procrastination. And for a lot of us, right, entrepreneurs, realtors, there's that fear of failing in the venture you're about to take. It can lead you to avoiding doing things. It can lead us to postponing, which is just a brilliant way of holding yourself back, right? And all of this is to minimize or negate the potential failure that your brain has created in your mind. So I'm going to be really transparent. I've been tasked with doing a project right now to a magnitude of something that I've never done before. And it's a personal thing for my business. And I caught myself, because I'm aware of it, in this loop of procrastination. You know, 2 weekends have gone by that were dedicated to really working on this project at an incredibly high level. And I am moving towards that goal yet in a 6-hour or 8-hour day, because I work on the weekends, because I love actually what I do. And I'm always working towards building content. And so it's not unusual that I would be working on a weekend. But I will tell you, the last couple of weekends, I probably, out of, let's say, 6 to 8 hours that I could have been working on this project, I maybe did 2. And the realization would come on Monday morning when I'd go to reflect upon my progress and realize there wasn't much progress made at all. And this stems from my irrational fear of failure. This is something I've never done before. This is a big project. Has a huge risk of not being accepted into the world the way that I want it to be accepted. And so my mind's playing these little tricks on me. And what I love about fear of failure is it's your brain's way of protecting you. Because you see, if I don't finish the project, I'm not failing. And some of you would say, yes, you are. I'm in my mind, I'm not. The failure that I might be avoiding is the rejection from an agent, the rejection from somebody outside in the world. And so if I have this fear of failure and I don't do it, I didn't really fail because I didn't get rejected. And it is one way in which our brain thinks it's protecting us when it's really not. I mean, it's protecting us from harm and hurt in a way, but it's really holding you back. So I had to get real about this. And this is what I want you to understand about fear of failure. For me, if it doesn't get accepted or picked up or worked on by an agent, it's not the end. It just means that I need to go back to the drawing board, if you will, or go back and make a couple of tweaks and run at it again. And if it were to be rejected again, go back. And it's just one of those things sometimes that we have to do until we get to a yes. If you know me, I hate no. I will work around no a million times until I beat it to death and I either win or I concede that it's a hard no. So for me, fear of failure really is one of those things that I have to address because it's not failure. It's just no to the way you went about it. It's just no to what you're presenting. And you may be experiencing this in your world. And it's funny because, again, I don't view myself as failing if I don't get the project done. I would view it as a failure if somebody on the outside told me no. So, where in your world are you avoiding because of this irrational, unrealistic thought of fear of failure? I love the thought of failing when I allow myself to get out of the muck. And I think I've said this before in several podcasts. Sometimes I'll tell a client who's about to go on a new adventure, I hope you fail because that means there's more lessons for us. Now, I always want you to win, but in the failure, there's the greatest lesson. So erase the fear of failure, address it, figure out what it is you're really avoiding, and reframe it that it's not usually the things that we do are not a one and done. Like I only have one chance at this. If I don't get it, it's done. That's not it. I have one chance at it the way it is. I've got multiple chances at the way it can be. That is the biggest mind shift for me when I'm looking to work through that. The other thing that happens sometimes when we're procrastinating is you may just be overwhelmed or burned out. And we've all experienced that. I mean, I wouldn't know for myself right now, I've got a multitude of projects going on. And if I do not manage them, it can become overwhelming. If I do not assign tasks and times and block times to do the work, it can become overwhelming. And burnout is a risk if you do not find the balance of time to recharge your batteries. So I want to talk a little bit about overwhelm and burnout because there's two things that you must do. Burnout, I notice for myself and a lot of my clients will happen when we are procrastinating. It actually causes the burnout. And I'm going to say this because this is something I learned early on in my real estate career when I was running a team and looking to grow and really heavily focused on it. On the days that I was home at 7 o'clock at night with my laptop on my lap, working until 9 or 10 o'clock at night, it's because I was procrastinating during the day. I was putting off doing a difficult task. I was putting off doing the thing that would move my business forward. And then, of course, a week or two or three or four of that happening where you're working late hours or different hours to compensate for the time that you procrastinated, it can create a feeling of burnout. Like, gosh, I just don't ever have a night that I can sit at home and do nothing. And the reality is sometimes we cause our own burnout. So this goes back to paying attention to what you're doing and making sure that you're doing the tasks that you need to do to move forward at the time it's assigned, or you're going to find yourself burning the midnight oil or working 7 days a week or doing things that can cause burnout. The other thing about overwhelm that can happen to us, it is when we have a lot of balls in the air and we're trying to figure things out mentally. That's really when overwhelm happens. Overwhelm rarely happens when you've got a strategy and a plan. Overwhelm tends to happen when we keep everything in our head. I am very masterful at that. I think I am. And then I end up getting myself overwhelmed because all of the stuff that you let roll around in your brain that you don't put on paper and you don't have a plan for and you don't have a strategy for and you don't have times assigned to really does lead to overwhelm, because every task at that point when it's held in your head and it's not put on paper, or if you're an electronic person, not put out an electronic plan, carries the same weight of importance. And so going to pick up my dry cleaning is equally as important to calling a publisher back. Going to the grocery is equally as important as lead generation for a new client, because in our brain, as they're all rolling around up in there, we can't assign a priority to it as well as we could if we actually dumped it out and we worked on the strategy. So overwhelm and burnout, I think, are very self-inflicted things. And burnout, I believe, is mostly stemmed from procrastination, which is funny that that's the topic of today, but I do believe that creates a lot of burnout. And then overwhelm is, again, self-inflicted when you're holding things in your mind. I know for me, one of the tools that I learned a long time ago to get out of burnout, or I'm sorry, to get out of overwhelm, is to just kind of sit, like when I find myself in that place of overwhelm, I know I got to get stuff out of my head. So I get a blank piece of paper and I just dump out everything that I need to be doing. Every little task that's rolling around in my head, I just dump it out on a piece of paper. Then I go through that list and I look at what is on that list that I don't have to do today. Can I delay it? Or can I just completely delete it? Like, I don't even need to do it. I don't know why it's in my head. I don't know why it's on the piece of paper. I can either delete it or I can delay it. So I go through that list, look for things I can delete and delay. Now the list is shrinking. I run through the list again and say, what is on this list that I could delegate? Who can I give these tasks to that I don't have to do the task that's on there? It just needs to get done. And start identifying who in your world that you can delegate to. If you've got an admin, if you've got a spouse, if you've got a good friend, if you've got anybody who you can leverage to help you in terms of delegation, it's powerful. So now you've gone through that list again and you've delegated off. Now what I find is that what's remaining is truly my must-do list. It is the list of the critical activities that only I can do and that really need to be done. It really does help me get out of a place of overwhelm. And then with that must-do list, I can go through and prioritize what is the first priority, second priority, third priority, and go through that whole list. And it just is a great way to get out of overwhelm and calm our brain. So that is one exercise that I do often, because most of us are working on multiple projects at a time. If you're a real estate agent, multiple clients, buyers, sellers, lead gen, lead follow-up, running a team, marketing, social media. We got a lot going on, and it can put you in a place of overwhelm. So when you get there, just think about how you can get all that out of your head and move forward. One of the other things that can cause procrastination is distractions in the digital age. It's one of those things, team. I know for myself, and again, I'll just be transparent. We post a lot at Rethink Coaching, and there's that curiosity piece of me that wants to see how well our post is trending, how many engagements we've had, has anybody replied to it, is it being well received, and with that, I get drawn into social media, even if I don't make the post and it's been done for me. I still want to see how it's performing, because that's the business person in me. But what really happens is I look real quick at how it's performing, and then I see this post right below it. And all of a sudden, I'm going down a bunny trail of unimportant things, and I'm sucked into social media. And so the constant presence of digital distraction, your phone, your laptop, your iPad, your iWatch, if you're an Apple person, all of those things, all the dings, all the buzzes, all the vibrations, all of this stuff can really be a huge distraction. I typically only wear my Apple Watch when I'm working out, because it is a constant distraction when a text comes in, when it's dinging and beeping on my wrist, where my phone I can put away. I can put it in a drawer, I can turn it over, I can do a lot of other things. So it's really how you decide to control some of those distractions in our current world. And I think the connectiveness that we have digitally to everything is a big culprit, because let's face it, I can either lead generate or I can read this really fun post that my friend made about a vacation they took to go to Barbados. And I can learn about where they stayed and the food they ate. And I get to look at the beautiful ocean. It's very seductive to your brain to go and do that versus some of the hard work. So distractions in the digital age can really create an escape for you and allow you to delay, procrastinate doing what you're supposed to be doing, and maybe getting some pleasure out of things that you don't need to be doing and allowing you to procrastinate against the activities. The other part, or the other thing that can allow us to procrastinate, is lack of accountability. So, this project that I'm working on, I thought I was just brilliant enough, and I'm a coach, and I know how to manage my time, and I know how to strategize, and I know my path to success in this project, and I know what has to be done for me to be able to pitch this to an agent. I had lack of accountability to somebody other than me. And so, as any good coach would do, I hired a coach for this specific function, this specific activity. Because when you only have yourself to report to, we're brilliant at making up all kinds of reasons as to why we didn't get it done. And there's tomorrow, and there's next weekend, and there's all of this time that I have that I could get it done when I only have myself to report to. But now that I have a coach and I make these commitments, and I know that I'm going to be speaking to my coach at a specific time to report back my progress, I truly show up a little bit different than if I were left to my own devices. And so if you don't have a coach, hire one. The coach that I hired for this program is extremely costly, and it took me to pause for a minute, but I knew without it I wouldn't get to where I was going. And I have multiple coaches. Some are more expensive than others, but there are so many opportunities for coaching. Like in reTHINK's world, we offer coaching for all levels. We offer group coaching for those people who financially can't afford one-on-one. We offer an entry-level one-on-one coaching program. We offer a master level, a core level of coaching for one-on-one people that are a little bit further ahead in their business or have the resources to invest. So if you do not have a coach, it is truly the best form of accountability. Yes, friends, yes, spouses, yes, kids can help you with accountability. But there is something to the fact when you're writing a check or you're having money auto drafted out of your account by somebody that you are paying to hold you accountable, you show up differently. So the absence of accountability can lend to procrastination. And I know for myself, I have the privilege of having multiple coaches in my world for different areas of my life and my business. And I know without them, I wouldn't move forward at the pace that I move. It would be much slower and it would be at risk. So I can't encourage that enough, whether it's hiring us as reTHINK or another coach, doesn't matter. Get a coach. I mean, I think clearly we're the best. Yet, if you are looking for somebody, hire a coach to help you with the accountability piece. And then the last thing I'm going to say is, time management. We don't need to spend a whole lot of bandwidth on this because I think we all know the importance of time blocking and holding yourself, accountable to those time schedules. I will say the one thing that has helped me tremendously with my time management is a technique called the Pomodoro technique. And so I think myself, like a lot of entrepreneurs, have shiny object syndrome, ADHD, which we get distracted pretty easily, or we only have X amount of time that we can really focus on one thing. And so this Pomodoro technique has it where it breaks it down into 20, 25-minute chunks of time that you work on a project or you work on a task. You take a 5-minute break and then you go back to it. This has worked brilliantly for me because in my brain, I've set a little timer on my phone. I put the phone over here so I'm not looking at it. I've shut off all of my digital distractions except for my timer. And I know that I've got a small period of time to work on things. Here's what's fascinating. I used to time block for 2 hours or 3 hours to do an activity. When I do the Pomodoro technique and I block 25 minutes, 5-minute break, 25 minutes, 5-minute break, I get more done in shorter amount of time because there's a start and a finish time that's been condensed. I don't sit there if an hour has gone by and I've kind of piddled it away in my brain. I'm like, well, I got another 2 hours. It's all good. when I've got a 25-minute time block, if I piddle it away, I've wasted that 25 minutes, and I'm going to have an accountability with myself at the end of the 25 minutes. So pay attention. And this might be a technique that you want to do. You can Google it, learn about it. You can buy a special little timer for it if you don't want to use your phone. Whatever you need to do, it really is a technique that's helped me tremendously on the time management side of things. So my calendar is broken out into 25-minute chunks for the key drivers for my major activities, which really has helped me tremendously because I don't get overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, I got 3 hours, I got to do this task. And what has happened again is I become way more efficient and I don't need 3 hours to do it anymore. It's been a brilliant discovery, and it works for those of us who might have a little issues with attention and focus. It's just part of, I think, our genetic makeup as entrepreneurs. So in review, team, the drivers of procrastination can be fear of failure. I think that's the number one thing that keeps a lot of us in a state of procrastination. The other thing is overwhelm and burnout. And I believe burnout is caused by procrastination. And so I think it's fun to point and connect those two things together. And overwhelm is just simply, I believe it's self-inflicted. You've just kept everything you need to do in your head and you haven't dumped it down onto a piece of paper and figured out what you really need to do. Digital distractions. I mean, I love how instant things can be, and I hate how instant things can be, and I hate the distraction that it can cause. So manage it. Do what you need to do with it to manage it. You can set a timer for a number of minutes allowed on your social media. You can do a lot of things to control not wearing a digital watch when you're doing key activities to avoid distractions. A lot of things that you can do, but distractions in our digital age really create the space for procrastination because, again, it kind of seduces you into doing something that's a heck of a lot more fun than doing perhaps lead generation or marketing or the things that we need to do to drive the business forward at a high level. Lack of accountability, hire a coach. That's really the best thing that I can say to do. Get a coach, find someone that you can afford that really resonates with you, that you can invest in yourself with. Best form of accountability that's out there. And then just your time management Pomodoro technique is a really powerful technique that you might want to check into. So team, if you need me, if there's something about this that has, I don't know, struck a chord or have you going, oh my gosh, I am masterful at procrastination and I really need to work with somebody to release this, please reach out. Tony@rethinkcoaching.com is my email. You can find me on the socials, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok a little, not so much. You can Google me and find my cell phone information. You can go to our website, rethinkcoaching.com, sign up for a free 1-hour strategy call, and I'm happy to help you out. Thanks for being here today, and we will see you in a week. Go work on that procrastination. Talk to you soon. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you must come check out the Mindset Architect Group Coaching Program. It's our monthly program where we explore the power of your mindset, help you identify what you truly want in business and life, and then help you reach those goals. Come check us out at rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. That's rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. We'll see you there.